Hello everyone, my name is Nathan and today it's time for another episode of Oxygen Not Included. In the previous episode we have taken care of our oil problem. So right here at the bottom of the oil biome we have our oil setup ready to go. All we are waiting for is this polluted water to get pumped out. And we're actually also waiting for this cool steam vent to reactivate. We still have 41 cycles to go for that. And while waiting, we're already cooling down the oil. Right now, we are actually already at 7 degrees. So that's going to be a piece of cake to condense that steam into water. We're then going to bring up the water as well as distribute it to the oil wells. But more importantly, in today's episode, we're going to focus on the space part of the map. Right now what I'm doing here is I'm actually gonna wall this completely off, so everything above that I'm going to expose to space in some way or the other. And everything below that line should still be okay. However, there's a little piece of vacuum that I still have that is exposed to space. And this is gonna allow me to dump gases and liquids that I just don't want to have too much of in a very convenient fashion. There we go, this is now actually walled off, so let's go ahead and continue this. I want to make sure I have this granite layer built that is going to protect my gases. I don't want to vent the entirety of the asteroid, and believe you me, that is possible if you're not careful. Another thing we might want to do is research. There are... Whoa, hot top. This is actually the first time I'm seeing that. I'm already interested, but I need the bunker doors and the bunker tiles. We need to protect our duplicants and future equipment from meteor showers. Now actually before I forget, let's get these things built. Also liquid vent right there, and I want to make sure we have... yeah, let's use insulated pipes just to be sure. There we go, now it should be easy to dump the liquids and gases eventually. Here we are actually already exposed to space, and you can see how the oxygen is being sucked out and it's just gonna disappear and vanish. However, we are safe and sound at the moment. I'm prepared to lose all the gases in the upper area now. New lock, surface breach. We finally did it. We're poking out of the asteroid. Ooh, there's another nullifier here. And we also have a geyser of some sorts. Maybe we can combine the two since they're so close together. We got our bunker doors researched and everything. I think now it's time to just pump through the rest of our research. You know, we now have a couple of turns before our next cool project comes along. Why not use that opportunity to research a couple of things? Yeah, let's freaking do it. I mean, there's also the rocket stuff that we definitely want, the telescope and the space scanner, but let's continue from the top down. We're just gonna research everything, so I'm not gonna inform you about it. Just rest assured, I'm now trying to research the rest of what we don't have. And of course, what we can do, in order to progress further, eventually we'll have to send rockets for research. So far, I didn't have any issues, but if I'm ever gonna have issues, now would be the time to activate the 5th downtime slot. Actually, I'm gonna do that just because we also get some more morale. You'll get 5 downtime slots. I mean, they are so freaking fast at the moment. Especially with the transit tubes, it just makes everything so much faster. Looks like we have 2 new types of rock, the mafic rock and the regolith. Regolith counts as a filtration medium, so that is a welcome addition. Wow, check this out. The juicer requires mushroom, bristleberry, meal lice, and water. This is insane. However, it does apply a +4 morale boost and +1 strength boost. Not bad. Wait, are you serious? There's another nullifier. This is crazy. They're all over the place. There's one here, one up there, one everywhere. I can make them useful. Now let's finally go ahead and dig all the way up. I want to know where this goes. It looks like this is where the meteor showers hit, so there's not a long way to go. I just see what's wrong with my oxygen system here. These guys, they cannot escape for some reason. They are only going straight, so maybe we can fix that with a simple bridge. Gas bridge right there, and then hopefully it's gonna distribute a little bit better. Bunker tiles are going to be extremely costly. I wonder if there's any other tile we could use in the meantime so we don't have to cover the entire map with bunker tiles just yet. I guess what we could do is stick out the left side of the ladder and kind of protect this area first. Yeah, I guess let's just get started on this. I'm going to do my normal ladder setup and just dig everything up there. Yes, so far so good. Now we have those 2 bridges, so everything on the top is fair game, depending on how much oxygen we already have in there. Since these pipes are full and we have stuff flowing into this direction, this cannot go to the right. But will it ever be able to go to the right if we need it to? I guess we'll have to see. How far are we at the top? Yeah, digging out the entirety of the biome and we're still going up there. But it looks as though we're now getting closer to the top. Well, it is now a couple of cycles later. You can see I dug out most of the area and I noticed something interesting. The temperature on the top is extremely hot, like steamy hot. We cannot really use this filtration medium as long as it's this hot. However, there's another thing that I noticed, namely that I have a huge chunk of water and polluted water that is already pretty hot, but not quite that hot. And we also have a steam vent right there. So why not actually make a steam turbine setup that utilizes the heat of the steam vent, which I believe is... no, it's also 500 degrees. Well, that's fine. We could, for instance, set up a bunch of airflow tiles here, so the steam can go up, but if it liquefies, it couldn't go back down. At the same time, we are going to ship the regolith down here, which means the steam is gonna cool down to an acceptable temperature, hopefully. The regolith is gonna continue and it's gonna all be dumped into this huge pool of water, which eventually is gonna heat up and hopefully become steam, joining up with the steam vent powering a steam turbine. This could be a really interesting project to tackle next, so I'm gonna need to enclose this all, and I'm also gonna have to make it a vacuum in order to really regulate the temperatures. The steam would then be flowing into this direction, joining up here with a steam turbine, and just to be sure, I'm probably gonna leave a space for a second steam turbine. Steam turbine, you go right there. Now, naturally, instead of building a shipping rail all the way down, we're just gonna use gravity. So let's go into shipping for the first time. We're gonna want a conveyor chute right there. This is gonna be closed off eventually. Actually, thinking about it, once the items drop down here, I don't want the steam to go all the way up, right? So technically we would have to pick up the items here again. I think I'm gonna implement that here, so we just need to make this a little bit thicker. What we want in this gap naturally is gonna be an auto sweeper. I'm gonna have to think about how to cool this down, because this part here is going to be a vacuum. Actually, I noticed one problem with shutting down the liquid vent. It seems to break the pipe because eventually the liquid inside is gonna cook. Like, the liquid inside the vent is already at 98 degrees. This means if we really want to do this, instead of sending the signal to the vent, we should really send it to a shutoff that is before that, so the liquid doesn't accidentally remain in the vent. It does take an incredibly long amount of time. What you could also do is just enable the signal really quickly, and now the new water is 67 degrees. And it's gonna take a really long time for that to heat up. So I guess to get our regolith in the system, we're going to use a conveyor loader. We're then gonna hook up our conveyor chute with a bunch of rails, and that should be everything. So we can just collect it in here, maybe have another auto sweeper. And all we have to make sure is that we're collecting the hot regolith somewhere close. But yeah, let's wait for this one to finish. That's still gonna take a while. I'm then gonna pump out the entirety of this. I'm gonna break this down and also connect this. I want this to be one huge liquid lock. So actually this is gonna be another way to get down. Okay, that should actually be fine. Now I have access to it. We're gonna fill this up with petroleum and I can go everywhere in the contraption without messing with the gases. Alrighty, we're back. Some time has passed and we are actually almost ready to see the contraption of the previous episode in action. All is dependent on the steam vent to finally start producing something. We have the system totally ready. Yeah, I think we're ready for this. Both of our oil wells are ready. Come on, erupt. Erupt! By the way, the calculated average output is 1.57 kilograms per second. So actually it might not even be enough to feed our oil wells. We'll have to figure that out. Maybe we're gonna have to add a water reservoir for the dormant phases. Hold on, I could do that right here. Yeah, just add 2 liquid reservoirs so we can collect some of the excess water we're gonna be getting, since the oil wells are not gonna be able to use more than 1 kilogram per second, but then they have to wait for the dormant phase. Exciting times we're living in. Let's set up these 2 liquid reservoirs and change the piping accordingly. There it is, erupting, creating steam for us. As long as, look at that, the door now closed since the water was too hot. Why is this pumping? This shouldn't be pumping at all. Well, I guess technically we can get rid of this now. It served its purpose. Currently we have a water temperature of 96 on this side. I wanna see, and there's 91. So there's a temperature difference between 4 to 5 degrees or so. I guess this gives us a little more wiggle room on the sensor here. I'm gonna go up to 95 degrees. This should then still be enough in order to cool down the steam and get the extra water there. Yeah, check this out. All the steam is condensing right at the second or third tile at the moment. Our second eruption is occurring. Beautiful. By the way, another thing I did in between the clips is I added another slickster room just for the excess slicksters we have at the moment, so the others don't feel cramped too much. And one more thing I had to take care of is a little security measure. Sometimes this was still overheating, so I decided to add another hydro sensor with just 0.3 kilograms as a setting. So every time there is no water at all, I added a little liquid shut-off that is just feeding from my current water storage. Just another little failsafe that sometimes gave me headaches. Another thing I noticed is my petroleum loop, or rather the nullifier, cannot keep up with the current requirements I'm putting on it. I was thinking of actually cutting this room in half, maybe have some metal tiles here, because we're never gonna reach the freezing temperature of the petroleum this way. I even managed to get another temp shift plate in here with some complicated building maneuvers, but it did not help. The petroleum itself seems to heat up more and more. I wonder if there's a point where it's gonna stop or if we have to add some more cooling. Those are the deep questions of today. Well, in this case, let's have a look at the contraption on the top. This has already come a long way. We are almost done. I can then close this off. I'm gonna put in some hydrogen in this room. We need to find the cooling solution for the steam turbine still. But this should soon be good. All we have to do is close this off. Actually, we could already do the cooling loop. So what we could do is go into shipping, and we're just going to loop around the auto sweeper a little bit before we continue down. Then I guess we can simply continue and do something like that. In order to cool down the steam, we are then gonna continue down here, and maybe at this point we're gonna let items drop down so they then start to heat up the water. So first cooling down the steam, but then still being hot enough in order to heat up the water. That would be the perfect scenario. So right at this point we would want another conveyor chute, just like that. In the conveyor loader itself we want to store filtration medium regolith. That's the stuff we're gonna have an infinite amount of once we start harvesting the meteor showers. This is so fun. It's gonna take a while to pump this out. Air up here still very breathable, then breathable, and down here barely breathable. And at the bottom unbreathable. Considering this thing is not going to produce enough water, we need to think about how to get more water in the joint. Now my current water line is right here. We can make use of that. This should all be insulated pipes, to be quite honest with you. Then we're gonna set up some liquid bridges, like so. Can cut this off. Gonna grab the water, and we're gonna go all the way down. Now I wanna also make this with insulated pipes, otherwise it's probably just gonna cook. We then go ahead and do something like this, so it doesn't have priority, the new water, and we always have priority from the steam vent water. And this is why we have the buffer in front of that, so this is always queuing up here a little bit, and the water from the top has to stop. We're not wasting that. But just in case the steam vent is not gonna suffice, this is how we bring down the water. Yeah, this is much better already. Okay, almost all of the steam has condensed and the door just opened. 95 seems to be a good measurement. Until I have a better solution, maybe with a liquid shut-off, I'm gonna cut this off, or maybe we just do it manually every now and then. I doubt the steam room is ever gonna overheat though. Okay, we have new steam coming in, so it should heat up again, and we should see the door closing in just a second, helping with the condensation. Come on, come on. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. Very quickly we're making use of the steam. My water has calmed down, which means we can get things started, like so. Beautiful. Okay, so now this is going into the oil wells. Woo! I may be safe at this point. There was too much prep work to fail now. There we go. Water going into the oil well, and it's actually functioning on its own. Okay, that's great. The only operation it requires is every now and then you have to vent it, and that's when the natural gas is accumulating. So remember, we set the sensor to 19 kilograms. I thought about it. We can actually go to 20 kilograms because this machine doesn't care, and it's just gonna accumulate more than 20 kilograms. So I guess we don't explicitly have to set it below 20 kilograms. This is crazy. This machine can run for several cycles before you actually have to empty it from the looks of it. And here we have a Pacu totally happy, but we can see the oil is overflowing, and soon enough we will be able to pick it up. So I guess let's wait until we have to actually vent this for the first time. One thing that slightly concerns me is why we have so much oil in the third row here. This should flow over a little bit more logically. But who am I to complain? We're finally producing oil again. It was really important to get this out of the way. You know, one thing I forgot is maybe setting up a couple of temp shift plates that might help to transfer the heat between oil and natural gas. So maybe set one up here, there and there. That should be more than enough. Same thing here, there and there. Uh-oh, hold on. Nobody's producing petroleum. What's the matter? What's the matter? I think I need to set this priority even higher. No, it's a vicious circle. We have no power because we have no petroleum. And wait, where's my coal? Oh, none of these storages were being filled up with coal. Somebody really needs to take care of that now. And there we go. Our oil wells are done. They now have an overpressure, so some duplicants should come along. Hopefully one with a good operation skill and take care of these. Maybe we're gonna put them to priority 6. I think that makes a little more sense. Okay, there we go. We have Meep the operator taking care of that. Nice. And it seems to release a lot of natural gas. Also, the sounds are absolutely amazing. And now we are producing oil again. Okay, and we ended up with almost 6 kilograms of natural gas, and it already cooled down to 86 degrees. Nice. Eventually we are going to be able to pump that out and also use for our power needs. By the way, I'm also using granite pipes, normal pipes in here in order to exchange heat with the oil that's going to be coming down here. So the natural gas overall is at an acceptable temperature. Holy cow, we did it. It took me forever. It feels like it took forever, but we now have a vacuum in all of this. So what I want to do technically is deconstruct these ladders. I'm not going to need them anymore, and we're also going to build a tile right there. However, I want to pick up everything before we do that. Man, I'm actually really excited for this. I have a good plan, I think. There's a couple of additions we're going to make this complete. My next step is going to be to bring some hydrogen all the way up through these pipes, and I want to fill the steam room, and I also want to fill this room, so I already added a gas vent here as well. We're going to use the hydrogen in order to transfer the heat between the items and the auto sweeper, as well as the conveyor loader, which I built all out of steel. So let's go ahead and actually get this started. I want to connect these two lines, which is going to allow the hydrogen right here to flow all the way up, fill up these rooms. And once we have them filled up, we're going to use it in order to do an additional cooling loop. So I decided, since we don't have enough cooling power with the nullifier alone, we're going to help out with an additional hydrogen cooling loop that is going to allow us to also heat up the water a little bit faster to get more steam. What a beautiful sight. Hydrogen all over the place as well as here. So this is all going to be filled up. We already have enough hydrogen in the upper room, so I'm gonna disable this. The next difficult thing I would like to achieve is actually getting a gas pump in this room. Now, how are we gonna do this? Well, I don't know yet. I guess we could go ahead and deconstruct this, but maybe we first have to set down the pipes. I think this makes more sense. Oh, okay, the pipe slot is actually right there. So the only problem is the power slot. We need access to this tile in order to get some power in the joint. So let's see how we can get this built first. That means we cannot build the pump yet because we first have to place a tile here in order to get to everything. This is going to allow us to also deconstruct this tile. There we go, beautiful. Great, that was actually not that difficult. Now we can already go ahead and get the pipe out of there. So what I want to do is cycle the hydrogen we have in this room and use thermoregulators to help out the nullifier. Nice, we actually managed to do it. We have everything in place. Now we are gonna build the pump, which is also reachable, and we didn't even breach the room. I love it. I would suggest we're gonna start with 4, like so maybe. And then we're just gonna drag the hydrogen through all the regulators, heating up the water, cooling down the hydrogen. My plan! Oh no, you cannot flood these buildings, of course. They have a fan on them. Well, I guess our plan is not really dependent on this. I'm gonna think of something else. I thought about this for a little bit and decided to tap back into my cooling system here in order to make a polluted water loop that is gonna take care of the thermoregulators. Right now I'm making a room just for that. We should have the space for 4 thermoregulators with all the necessary automation with the liquid lock right there. I'm also gonna fill this up with hydrogen, but instead of pumping it out, I'm actually gonna fill it up with tiles. The cooling loop, as you can see, is going through the batteries. This is also gonna help cooling down this room a little bit more than previously, and then we are going through the cooling system to get the chill back. Right now I'm still gonna have to fill it up with polluted water, but we have some access right here. Maybe we should already go ahead and build that. Let me do that with normal piping, not the time to waste unnecessary insulated pipes. Whoop. one more thing before I forget it. We probably already have a lot of natural gas. Yeah, this is accumulating. Oop. Okay, good thing I saw that. What we want to do is hook up this pipe. What I already did is build a pipe all the way up into our gas generators. So this is the pipe going through here into our natural gas generators. And of course we want to make use of that, definitely. One problem I seem to have is the oil cannot flow down freely, so I might have to set up a bunch of tiles in order to circumvent that issue. It sure takes a while to build all of these tiles, but I think it's worth it. I was just too lazy to build another pump setup here. Anyways, I'm gonna be right back once everything is ready to get this started. Alright, we are back and everything is built, I believe, that needs to be built for the time being in order to set this machine off. That's what I want to do to wrap up this episode. Now, at the moment, I have all of this hydrogen in here. Technically, we don't need access to that. What we want is to pump out the hydrogen we have in the room. It's actually important we do that because at the moment, the pressure is a little bit too high. I think it's taking too long, so I'm just gonna build a gas reservoir and we're gonna store the hydrogen in here for the time being. Even the gas reservoir has an overheat temperature, so definitely something to keep in mind. Just this measly bridge to go and we have our hydrogen loop started. Perfect. So it's always gonna be packets of 500 grams and hopefully we're gonna get below the 20 kilograms in this room, but I think we should be able to accomplish that. Anyways, the first thing it does is actually cool down the steam turbine that we have on the top here. Then it's gonna loop back down. We actually don't need this anymore. So it's going all the way down into our thermoregulators, and here I'm checking for a temperature of minus 230 degrees. So if it is above that temperature, it's gonna activate the thermoregulator with the automation wires, of course. If it goes through the regulator, it's gonna continue to the next setup, and so it can go through 4 regulators if it wants to. However, if it is already cold enough, it's gonna go down, bridge over and join up with all of the other exits, and then it's gonna loop back down all the way into our hydrogen room. So that's the journey the hydrogen is gonna make, and it is gonna tremendously improve the quality of this cooling room. In the meantime, we should also be able to exchange these tiles with airflow tiles. However, before I do that, I want to make sure that I have a steady flow of regolith. So what I'm gonna do is sweep up whatever regolith I have laying on the floor here. I also installed an automatic dispenser and a little setup so I can farm the regolith more or less manually for the time being. The most important part is that we are dropping it all the way down here and then it's going to be picked up by the auto sweeper. My goal is to have a more or less constant flow of regolith. It shouldn't be much, but it should be constant as possible, man. What happens if I tell this guy to do regolith? Are we already gonna pick some up? Yes, okay. So I want to know how this exactly works. We have the space for 1,000 kilograms and it seems as though one is just 20 kilograms. This is really good news because one regolith patch here is almost 1,000 kilograms, so we can send in a lot of packets. Yeah, there we go. All the regolith is now dropping down and then it's being picked up by the other auto sweeper and then it's gonna go through the setup there. Okay, that's perfect. This regolith, of course, is way too cold at the moment. We're gonna dig up the hot one, but let's go ahead and exchange these with airflow tiles now. All of these. We still have a couple of cycles time. Oh my gosh, this is actually condensing instantly. Well, that was to be expected because the regolith at the moment we're sending down is really cold. Oh, I did not think of that. Of course, if it is too cold in this room, we're gonna have water and the steam cannot escape once again. So very easy, instead of airflow tiles, we just need to have mesh tiles, no problem. Alright, there we go, we're actually getting somewhere. The steam is slowly but surely escaping and, well, at the moment we're producing the water, but that's gonna change over time. Looks like we're a little bit too late. That is unfortunate. So this room has heated up above the 55 degrees mark. What I'm expecting to see, of course, is this cool down again. Because soon enough, yeah, there we go. We are now pumping in the cold hydrogen, which at the moment is around 0 degrees or so. It should actually be going through all the regulators. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, we just have a little bit too much hydrogen. This cannot flow out constantly. Oh, our steam turbine is already going for it, but at the moment we don't have the regolith flowing through. That is a problem. Yeah, I actually had some regolith falling down and destroying a wire, so what I had to do is install a manual airlock on the top. Now hopefully this is not gonna happen anymore. There we go, much better. Now the steam comes down to a acceptable temperature. Actually, it's still a little bit too hot. However, the pipe here is blocked. I need to check that. I remember. So the water from the steam turbine we're actually bringing all the way down here into our recycling program. So once I hook this up right there, we should be seeing the water going all the way into my system, being cooled down, being purified, etc. So that is actually going to be very convenient. I can basically do that for a very long time with this much water. And it's another great way for us to get water and actually, you know, recycle this in a reasonable manner. Also, at the same time, we can cool down the regolith. The regolith right here at the moment is 4.9 degrees. It's going to be much hotter later on, but if we check this out, by the end it's coming out with 114 degrees. So we were able to do a substantial amount of cooling before it gets to the actual steam turbine. Great, so now the next thing we want to tackle is an automatic way in order to get all of the regolith on the top. At the moment I will have to do some manual mining expeditions, but we get so much regolith, it should really not be an issue. Nice, okay, now we're coming in at 61 degrees on the top and we're coming out at 6.5 degrees or so. That means also eventually this chamber is gonna be cooled down even more and then we're not gonna have those issues any longer. I would say we are gonna get this down to a pretty substantial amount. With that, we're gonna wrap it up for today. Thank you so much for watching, guys. It's a beauty to see things coming together. I sure hope you enjoyed it. Have a great time and see you soon. Bye bye.